fight fans? So, Demetrius Johnson fought last week. I believe it was on a Friday. And he beat Adriano Moraes. This was a rematch. If you guys remember, I think it was like, what, 15, 16 months ago? Obviously, way over a year. He rematched Adriano Moraes. In their first meeting, Adriano Moraes actually stopped DJ, Demetrius Johnson, with a knee in the second round, I believe. So, this fight that just recently happened, Demetrius Johnson secures a victory with a flying knee himself. So now he's back as once flyweight champion. And, there's been a lot of talks about Demetrius Johnson as far as being the GOAT, because we know he's had what I think was like 12 title defenses, if not more, give or take. And here's my talks on that. I actually even hear people talking about referring to him as he being possibly better than George St. Pierre or even better than John Jones. And I got to say this, guys, as good as DJ is, and this is not his fault. 100%, this is not his fault. He is really good. He is really, really good at what he does. Definitely by far one of the best flyweights. But I do believe the flyweights came in a lot earlier. It was definitely before its time, I want to say. Because the flyweights, you look at his title defenses. He went against Jose Benavidez twice, John Dodson twice, I believe. Then he got Henry Cejudo, which he did lose to Henry Cejudo. And then Ray Borg. There's just quite a few somewhat known, aside from Henry Cejudo and Jose Joseph Benavidez. But either or, even that's kind of pushing it a little bit, especially with Henry Cejudo now. Henry Cejudo back then wasn't relatively super well known. He was a very, very high level fighter, but not your pay-per-view star, if you will, now. I wouldn't call him even that a pay-per-view star. Excuse me, because if you think about it, he hasn't really headlined a pay-per-view himself. Now, we do want to see him return. We do want to see him go against the bantamweights and such. So, nevertheless, Henry Cejudo definitely wasn't who he is now. Now, as far as him being the best ever, Demetrius Johnson, I do believe he is a GOAT, 100%. You put him in the top 10 easily. His skill, his technique, everything about him was just amazing. But unfortunately, with his weight class, the way it was then, it was just too hard to tell if maybe Demetrius Johnson was just a little bit before his time. Maybe some of these guys weren't just on that correct level. It was just too difficult to tell. And me personally, I would have loved to see Demetrius Johnson move up in weight, because we know we had this bantamweight weight class where we had Dominic Cruz, which everyone doesn't even remember that Dominic Cruz actually beat Demetrius Johnson at bantamweight. Then you had your TJ Dillashaw's, your Cody Garbrandts. You had a few other relatively known fighters up there too. And I would have loved to see Demetrius Johnson play a part in the bantamweight, see how he can do. We know what he did. Again, he did lose to Dominic Cruz, but that was in the earlier stages of his career. As he became champion, I would have loved to see what he can do at bantamweight. After successfully defending the titles multiple times, he just continued to face new challengers. Personally, for me, I would have loved to see him face a new challenge for himself, because we already know what he was going to do in the flyweights. Now, if he comes over now to the UFC, back to the UFC, it would be pretty interesting to see him against a Brandon Moreno, a Davison Figueiredo, even a Kai Kara France, and even some of these guys that could possibly make the 125, like a Henry Cejudo. You never know. Cody Garbrandt has tried it. Unfortunately, didn't look the greatest. And also TJ Dillashaw. Again, we already know what happened there. Probably not the best idea for him. But nonetheless, as far as him being the GOAT, he definitely is the GOAT. One of the GOATs, I should say. Excuse me. One of the GOATs. Top 10 easily. Top 5, I would not say. 100% would not say, because he just refused to challenge himself as a champion. He challenged other fighters, but just refused to challenge himself. Then when TJ Dillashaw, there was this open discussion, if everyone remembers, TJ Dillashaw wanted to go and face Demetrius Johnson, but Demetrius Johnson continued to campaign at, well, no, TJ Dillashaw needs to face somebody in my division first, get a win, and then I'll face him as champion. It's just like, dude, what are you doing? You know, TJ's a big name. He's a big, tough challenger. I believe that DJ cared more about principle than he cared about being the best ever. So that's why I can't necessarily put him as the GOAT, put him in front of George St. Pierre, or put him in front of John Jones or Habib. Even though John Jones did test positive, and we all know this, um, but nonetheless, he still defended a lot of great champions. And, you know, both George and John Jones weight classes were at its time. You know, the greats of the greats were in their division when they were there. You know, it wasn't like years later. Like today, even today, the flyweights isn't super significant. You know, like if we didn't see a flyweight championship, I wouldn't. I love the flyweights, but if it wasn't there, it's not necessarily be like super missed. Like we need the bantamweights. Oh my God, the bantamweights are on fire. We need the featherweights. We need the lightweights, especially the lightweights. You know, we look at the other weight divisions. Some are okay, some are like whatever. But the flyweights, unfortunately, it's just not enough people and not enough stars. And that's the kind of what I felt like when DJ was, you know, going toe to toe. You honestly can't remember majority of the people that he faced, other than ones that I mentioned. And then I don't even know if he was even aside from his last fight, I believe it was Terry Cejudo. Other than that, I can't really think of any other pay-per-view as a headliner he was. So with all those things considered, yeah, do I put him as a GOAT? Sure. Do I put him as the GOAT? Not necessarily. So I would like to know what you guys think. Do you guys put him as the GOAT? Maybe one of the GOATs, or maybe not at all? Like, subscribe, hit the notification button. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next video.